Welcome to Let's Talk About CRPS, a podcast brought to you by MTI directly from Italy. We will talk about the latest news and treatments, patients' experiences, and exclusive interviews of CRPS experts. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website, crps-treatment.com. Let's take off! Hi everyone, I'm Sandra. I'm a patient care coordinator, and this is another episode of our podcast, which is called Let's Talk About CRPS. I'm here today with Tim. He's one of our past patients. He was here literally, I think, a month ago.
About 6 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, a bit more than a month ago. And he wanted to be our new guest for this new episode of the podcast. And I'm going to ask him, of course, a couple of questions so he can share a bit of his experience with us. Tim, do you want to start telling people a bit about how it all started, just for them to have an idea of the time frame of everything?
I'll try to compress 25 years into something really short so I don't put anyone to sleep. I got diagnosed with RSD, which is now called CRPS, about 25 years ago. There's nothing that they can really pinpoint to that says why, why or how I got it. It's in my knees predominantly. Most likely it's from a lifetime of playing hockey. It's a very brutal contact sport. When I got diagnosed, I was in my early 30s. I was working. I had a bunch of kids, and it was really a bad time. It was a scary diagnosis to get, and like I was telling you before, with the internet, there's so much information out there that you can really get overwhelmed or scared by self-diagnosing or looking. You never know, the sites that you're watching or reading are really good sites, and they could be just someone else's bad experience that they put online, and you read it and you read it, something printed, you take it as true. So over the course of getting diagnosed and trying to be treated, we did like nerve blocks, we did stimulation through electricity on my legs, we did spinal stimulation, which did help me for a couple of years. Actually, the spinal stimulation is what got me off all the medication, because once the doctors realized they couldn't help me, they shuffled me off to pain management, which was the worst thing I ever let myself get talked into, because that was a downhill tuck for like 6-7 years where I just was on progressively more and more and more pills, taking oxy that was 6 to 8 times a day, and then taking pills because of those pills, and taking other pills to offset those pills. And before you know it, I'm up over 30 pills a day. I went from 185 pounds over like 6 years to like 350, 360. And I remember seeing a picture of myself on the beach. I was uploading on the computer, and I saw myself, and I actually broke down crying. I was like, what did I let happen to myself? I had lost control of my life. I was staying inside. I was ashamed because I was so heavy. I didn't want to be out in public. It hurt. I was depressed. The spinal stimulator helped me. So it helped me get me off the pills. I started losing the weight. I fell in love with the whole process. I started trying to personal train to help other people, but I still had the pain. I was still suppressing it every single day. And as anyone who has chronic pain a lot, the mental energy that you burn through on any given day to suppress that, because you don't want it coming out the wrong way for someone that you love or someone you care about. You don't want them to say something that normally was no big deal, that you would just snap at them for, because you're in such a bad way that day. So it's exhausting. It was exhausting. So, anytime a new treatment came out, I jumped at it. Dry needling, acupuncture. I even did ketamine for a month, and that was just the worst. It was worse. It was an acid trip for 5 hours a day, and then you go home and you sleep all day. And that was not a good choice. It didn't help, not long term. So I just kind of resigned myself that this is my life. This is my life, and aside from the pain, I was fairly healthy. I developed mental tricks to kind of cope with the pain. I'd visualize pain as this blob, and I would take that blob and I'd put it in a box, and I'd put that box in like a compartment, like Indiana Jones at the end when they got the ark. That huge. That's what I used to do. I used to take the pain, I'd visualize it, I'd shut it up in a box and put it away. And these are little mental tricks that you deal with to deal with the pain, but you have it every day. I mean, it's just, it never goes away. You have it in the morning, you have it at night. It affects everything in your life, and the people that you love, you're not the person you want to be because of it. And it's you know, you're focused on the good, and you try to push this down. It's just, I found out about your clinic online. I was in the bathroom watching videos, and there was this girl who was raising money for something, you know, for her pain, but they weren't very clear about anything. And I had looked at some of the comments, and they mentioned that people were going to Italy for this clinic. And I immediately was like, whoa, I want to know what this is. And I found out about you, and I started reading about you and researching you, and found out that you have a success rate of like 70% for treating people, and then it doesn't come back if you are, you know, successfully treated. Because I was actually looking at stem cell, and as anyone who looks at stem cells is horribly expensive. But, and again, not offered in the United States. You have to go
Yeah,
to.
we're familiar with that. Yeah.
I mean, I was willing to fly to San Diego and bus over to Tijuana for this clinic that all the MMA fighters and football players go to. And that was like 40 grand. Base, that's the start, 40 grand. And it goes up from there. And there was no guarantee that it was going to, you know, because I talked to them, they're like, well, neurologic, there's no guarantee. It's great for injury recovery, muscular, stuff like that. But for neurologic, probably not. And I was like, oh. And that's when I found you guys when I was in the process of thinking about that. And I talked to you. I read about you guys, and I sat down with my wife, and we had a really long conversation. And we both were like, it's a no-brainer. You know, you've tried so many things over so long. Nothing's really worked. This, you've got a really good shot at getting your life back. And it was the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, I remember you telling me, make it happen.
Yeah,
like
make it happen.
Before coming here.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a really hard decision to make. I mean, and I'm not just talking like, you know, paying for something. I mean, it's just, you're leaving the country, you're going to another country, don't know the people, you know, don't know really much except for what you've read. A lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty, you know, and to be met by Lorena at the airport, and you guys took care of everything. I mean, you took care of the hotel, you took care of the food. Yeah, you transported us back and forth to the clinic every day. And it's always the same faces, and it's always cheerful, always, you know, caring. And then we had a couple of days of sightseeing, you know, which I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do, because you're with the treatment and you don't know anything. So you, in your head, you're like, oh, I'm going to be, you know, so uncomfortable, I won't be able to. No, it was a little nausea once that went away, and I was fine. It was just, if I could have planned like my perfect trip, my perfect, you know, everything, this would have been it, because the people were all incredible. Luigi was he's a physical therapist. He is so knowledgeable. As a personal trainer, I have a very high standard of who I'll actually listen to with regards to something I consider myself fairly knowledgeable about. He was, you know, head and shoulders, you know, his knowledge was so much higher, and the way he cared and talked made you want to listen. And the things that he told me really helped me a lot. Marzia, you know, you got to be nice to the lady. You got to be nice to the lady that has the sharp things, right? She handled the infusions, and she was an absolute sweetheart.
She's like a mom at the clinic.
She is, and she apologized every single time she gave me the shot. She's like, I'm so sorry that. And then she actually dealt with all my snoring, because for some reason, within like 8 minutes of getting my treatments, I'm out like a light.
I remember Lorena telling me, you know, I was like, what's Tim doing? And she's like, he's sleeping.
He's sleeping. And it wasn't just, I mean, the first day, okay, it was a little the jet lag the first day.
Yeah.
But after that, it was just, I don't know, something about being in that bed with the infusion, I'm out. out like a light. But like I said, it was just, and I told Lorena this the first or second day we were together that, there's so much uncertainty going into it and apprehension about the
Yeah, I was going
treatment,
to ask
about
you,
the
when do
people.
you think the uncertainty kind of just disappeared? Was it when you arrived or?
It was, well, seeing Lorena right away. Because, okay, now I'm in a different country and I've traveled, we travel,
Yeah.
so I'm not, scared to go to another country, but going to Italy, I mean, I don't speak Italian. I can understand a little because I took a lot of Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
but you're in a different country and don't know the airport. Don't, you met right by her right away. She's like, I've got it. Don't worry. Big old smile and super friendly. um, we got in the car. We talked the whole time. She brings us to our suite, not a hotel. It was a suite, huge, beautiful. Sets up the light therapy, and the whole time she's not just. And this holds true for everyone at your clinic, because I've dealt with a lot of specialists over the years. They don't. Everyone attached you don't talk at you. They don't tell you, like someone can script in their head. They actually talk to you, and it's a very interactive thing, and they actually want you to understand every step.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's a big deal that someone cares enough to explain why there's something is, why do you have to do the light therapy? What is it, not just telling you do this twice a day and then that's it. Setting it up and telling you this is, what you do. If something goes wrong, this is how you change it. This is why you're doing it. And this is what you should expect from stuff like that. And it does make a big difference. And that does help the apprehensive level,
Mm-hmm.
So.
It does make a difference, We make it a big deal when it comes to our communication with the patients, even more in person, I think. That's why a lot of people do stay friends with the patients after. I think that even if it's only a week of stay, you do make a connection with people. It's very important, I think, to be comfortable while you're here. It's human touch, human connections. It's very
I
important, I
told
think.
Lorena, like, for me, like, Lorena's like now my face of Italy. When I think of Italy, I think of Lorena.
Would you
I
like to
just,
see her?
is she there?
I think, yeah.
Hey, get in here.
Lorena. Ah, sí. Oh, no, she went away. No.
She ran
She
away.
went home. Yeah. She had a
Okay.
patient this morning. That's why she
But she
left.
gets
Yeah.
up crazy early from what she's told me. I'm
She
sorry for moving ahead.
does. She does.
Really sorry.
Yeah, it's like 5 a.m. in the morning just to get to Verona then.
Yeah.
But, she's very, very like her devotion to patients. It's actually great to
Well, I
see
was
like.
like Luigi took us out our first day,
Uh-huh.
and oh, I'm sorry, Pitar, sorry. Pitar took us out the first day, and he's like, everyone calls Lorena Mama Lorena, and it's true. I mean, she treats everyone, like a mother hen kind of thing, and yeah, it is like a family, and I think of my time in Italy fondly, and I will never forget the people I've met there. It was a very pleasant experience and successful.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that part. I was gonna ask you a bit about the experience with infusions. Did you feel, how did you
Like I
feel
was
doing
told,
them?
yeah, I was told that like it takes 6 months for it to really circulate
Mm-hmm.
through your whole body, and that you may or may not feel something soon.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went in with really no expectations. Um, I figured I've had this for so long. Let's give it a shot. Maybe my wife and I had talked, and I said, if I got a 30% reduction from this,
Mm-hmm.
I'd consider victory, because
Yeah, I
it's
remember
just
you telling me, yeah.
it's so bad. And every day, I think my average pain scale is like a 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
That was my life, a 5, 6 out of 10, pain scale every day. And yeah, it shot up a lot higher some days, and some days it went a little lower, but about 5, 6. I'd say probably within 2 or 3 days of the treatment, I could feel a reduction. I don't really want to put a number on it, but we took a train and we walked around either the Moreno and Moreno,
Yes, in Venice?
Murano and Burano, yeah. And so, and we took the train. We did a lot of walking, and it's all cobblestones, a lot, and
Yeah, Venice.
which would usually cause my legs to freak out. And I was good. I had cowboy boots on too, I think, at the one time. So I was strutting around in the cowboy boots, and I was good. And usually that would make me like on the couch for the rest of the night with ice packs, and um, no, I felt, and that's when I knew that this was gonna be a good thing. Yeah, I'd say now, I'd say on an average, my pain scale is probably a 2. Most days, like 1, 2.
Okay.
And for me, that is like a godsend. I'll still once in a while get the occasional flare up, like when the weather goes from like really hot to the next day cold and rainy. That's to be expected. But I will take a 2, a 1, 2 out of 5, 6 any day of the week. I would have settled for like a 3, 4, 4. I would have been like, oh my God, this is so much. I was talking to my wife when one day when I was in the car, she was I don't know, home or whatever. That it felt weird. Like I felt like a sense of loss. Like when you lose someone you love, you feel that like sorrow. There's like an empty spot inside you. And for me, it was like this vacant spot in the back of my head that was noticeable, like tangible. Like I knew something was different. And I'm like, I feel like I lost something or someone. And in the course of us talking, like, it's the pain. It was a presence in the back of my head that I lived with for so long, and it was mostly gone. And it was like a weird revelation at the time that it was gone. And I felt different. And so now I'm kind of like getting reacquainted with,
how it was before.
Who I used to be before I had this, So
it is a big change. And the
so
fact
now
that
my wife's got a whole new husband, so she's like, oh crap. But it's a really good problem to have. It's
sure it is.
Considering I was some days walking up and down the stairs like an old man. To now, I go up there. I don't avoid things anymore. I don't avoid the stairs. I don't avoid, doing a lot of stuff walking on my feet anymore. It never occurs to me anymore that there's going to be a consequence, because I would do almost anything, before, but there was always a price you paid later.
Yeah, there was
later on the day. Later on the day, an active day meant I was on the couch for the rest of the night with ice packs and heating pads and the occasional gummy or a glass of wine or something to try to cope with the pain. And no, I think I've used ice packs once in like 7 weeks. So.
And it's only the beginning, because there's still a lot of time to go.
Yeah, I still have
the 6 months.
4.5 months. I still have 4.5 months or so for this to circulate. I'm doing all the
exercises,
supplemental stuff that we did afterwards. For gut health.
Yes.
And that I for me, and I'm doing the stretching. So if you talk to Luigi, tell him that I'm doing the stretching, because he was like, yes. You don't stretch enough. You're too tight. I'm like, you're totally right. I'm not bendy. I've never been a bendy kind of guy. But I'm keeping up with that, and I'm keeping up with the supplements that were completely optional. And that's another good thing about you guys. You guys would lay out, what you can, like, there's a cost to things. I mean, that's obvious, but they're like, okay, this is what this, for this would be. And then there's a lot of stuff you can add on if you want to. And I did. I mean, we're like, okay, let's make the most of this situation. And I think the supplements that I'm taking, a little at night and some in the morning, have helped my digestion and my gut health. And as Luigi would tell you, that everything originates from your gut. Your health revolves around.
It's like a second brain, basically.
Well, mine's a big one. My wife always tell you I'm always hungry, but you just got to make sure you don't go from hungry to hangry, But no, I feel night and day different, and I will always be thankful with that.
It's all because of them.
Oh yeah, I'm getting coached. No, and
she's standing there with a paper like, you read this.
Yeah. No, it's just like anyone who's successful at something always has people behind them. I mean, I have my wife.
Yeah.
She's my biggest
great support.
She's my biggest supporter, my biggest cheerleader. She's put up with the mood swings and the pain and, sometimes the flashes of depression or whatever that come with it. And when it came time to do this, she was like, do it. Let's go. No hesitation. Let's go. And then I had you guys. You guys were part of that team.
Got us in like 2 or 3
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was going to have to be on a waiting list for like 6 months.
No.
6 to 8 months. You guys, after we talked and we told you, okay, let's do this. You guys sent the link, said, okay, here's the link, fill this out. And then within 3 weeks we're on a plane. 2 or 3 weeks we're on a plane.
Yeah, it was quite fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you being eager, and I was like, okay, let's get it done.
I was gung-ho to do this, and again,
the pain was getting worse and worse.
Yeah, my pain had been slowly deteriorating. I mean, increasing, and my health was deteriorating. It was getting worse and worse. And my experiences with medicine in the States hasn't been the most positive, I guess. It's my feeling, at least, that and recently it's changing for the better, our outlook on health and treatment of things recently, but for the longest time it wasn't really patient based. It wasn't really searching for a cure, searching to make you better. It was more treating you, because that's where the money is. I mean, there's no money in curing someone or making them better. There's money in treating someone, and so you guys offered something different. And it was, and like I said before, it's patient based, it's care based, it's
You made us feel like family.
Yeah, you did. You made me feel like a person, like you wanted to treat Tim. You didn't want to treat the patient. You don't want trial or whatever. And it showed in every single person that we dealt with.
Thank you so much. It's always very nice to hear,
Well, it says a lot about your
everything coming with from patients.
That you assembled these kinds of people. I can see
I mean, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, because not everyone is made out for this, I think. Even on an emotional, intelligence level, I would say. Not everyone
you've assembled the best people in their fields who actually care about what they do. And it's not, you can fake it to a point, some people, but it's so obvious that they care. Everyone across the board.
They love what they do.
Yeah, they love what they do. They really do. Yeah, and my wife reminded me. So the nutritionist, she was, again, one of these people that, I mean, I know a little bit about nutrition just based on, my interest in fitness, but again, next level stuff. She was just, this is what you need to do to feel better. These are the things. And her and Luigi were both very okay, you've done a lot of the right things on your own. And good on you. Now here's the way to elevate it. Here's the way to get better. And they were so enthusiastic about what they do that it made me really lean forward and I want to hear what you have to say, kind of thing. It was great. No, it was really great. There's not one thing I could say, I wish they kind of improved this. The only thing I kind of could say about anything was I wish we came there a day earlier to try to get myself on a sleeping schedule a little bit. But that's more on me than you guys. I mean, the hotel was beautiful. The food was, great. So you got minimalized. Can you still see me?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, everything was super positive.
I'm glad. There's not much else to say really other than thank you. I mean, for your work and everything.
I have all expectations of improving or more, and
of course,
the ball goes both ways. When you feel bad, it affects you mentally, spiritually, and sometimes things can snowball out of control. On the other hand, when you start to feel good, you start looking for more good. You start looking for more ways to feel better. You start looking more positive. And before you know it, more positive and better things start to happen to you. and it does swing either way. The pendulum does go either way, and
Yeah.
it's not going to happen. You have to make it happen, and finding you guys and trusting you and jumping in with both feet was the best thing I've ever done. Yeah, I firmly believe, and I've talked to a few people in the States about you guys already, and I am more than willing to talk to anyone at any time about my experiences, because I believe, you changed my life for the better. And, I would hope anyone who was thinking about you would look at some of the videos or want to talk to someone. And I would be like, listen, don't be scared, and pain is isolating. You think you're all alone. I felt it. It's a trap. You're not alone. Okay. You have an awful thing that happened to you, the pain, and it doesn't go away, but it doesn't have to stay. You can do something about it. You're not alone. And there's people like you out there who want to help and do. Sorry, I have construction going on. So.
Don't worry.
So I just thank you. I thank you guys every day. Every day I wake up, I feel, I've gotten into the habit of finding 5 things to be thankful for in the morning as I'm getting dressed. It's a habit I got myself into to change my mindset and think positively. And you guys are always in that list.
That's a great habit. It's a good mindset as well.
Yeah, it's like making your bed. It starts out the day, with an accomplishment, something you're positive and happy about. So,
well, you have to come back to meet me.
Yeah,
that's something that has to happen, and you have to come back as a tourist.
We have an excuse to go back to Italy.
Yes, exactly. As a tourist, of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Italy's absolutely beautiful, and having Peter and Lorena show us little pieces of it, we're just, it's a beautiful country.
Told you, even more reasons to come back.
There you go. Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, really. I think you said everything. I hope people will, listen a little to the podcast, and just, in case they want to talk to someone, I will definitely let them know that you're willing to do that.
I'd be happy.
They will appreciate it, of course.
It's a life-changing decision, and it's not something you just make, at the drop of a dime. But
of course,
if people read about you and they research you and they think it's a really good idea and they want to talk to someone who's actually been through it all, send them my way.
Their success rate speaks for itself.
Yeah, your success rate speaks for itself. But if you want to put a face to it, I'm happy. I'd be happy to, because
thank you so much.
You guys are amazing. So thank you.
No, thank you. I'm going to keep going back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth.
Well, thank you for joining me on this.
Absolutely.
It was great. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm just gonna say bye to everyone who's going to be listening to us and seeing us, and to stay tuned for possible future episodes of the podcast. And
next time I'll do my hair and look a little bit more. I just got home from the gym like 20 minutes ago, so. But yeah, anytime.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.